Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I am finally here to tell you guys another story time. You know how I know when it's been too long since I told a story? I start getting comments everywhere on Snapchat, Instagram, on every video that I post on YouTube that is not a story time. When is the next time you're going to tell a story? I tell quicker, shorter stories on Snapchat and Instagram Live, so make sure to follow me on there to get more frequent stories. But I had to sit down and tell this story because it's a story time, but it's also advice, I guess you could say, I'm giving to any current smaller YouTuber or anyone who's considering thinking of starting their own YouTube channel. So I had to film this video, and there's a reason why I had to wait this long to film this video. So if you want to hear about my YouTube network experience, then stay tuned. So for those of you who just watch YouTube for the YouTubers that you love to watch and you don't have your own channel, you're not interested in the behind the scenes type of things and don't know what an MCN is, basically an MCN is a multi-channel network that goes around trying to convince YouTubers to join their network because they will give you all of these great things, and of course it's not out of the goodness of their hearts, there's something in it for them, which I will get into. Before I even started my channel, I had told myself I'm not going to join a network because it doesn't seem like they really do anything for you. Well, about March of 2016, that is when I hit 1,000 subscribers on my channel, and that's when I really started getting the push from networks. Every single day I was getting an email from this network, that network, this, that, and the third, and I ignored them all because you could easily tell that this was some copy and paste type of email where they literally just take out the last person who they sent this email to's name, put in yours, and all of them were referring to me as too much mouth, or some of them didn't even get the entire name right. I got mouth, I got much of mouth, I got called other YouTubers in their email to me to join their network, so I always ignored those. And then one day I got an email from this network. I'm not going to name it. I don't want to give it any shine whatsoever. I got an email from this network's representative. We're going to call her Barbara. So I got an email from Barbara, and this email was different from other emails I've received from representatives of networks because she used my actual name. I know now that that sounds stupid that I actually fell for it because she used my actual name, but at the time my name wasn't as broadcasted, even though now it's still like, if you are just watching, this is the first video of mine, you wouldn't know what my name is because I didn't start this video out by saying my name. But on my Instagram it has what my real name is, my Twitter account, all that other stuff. Well, back then it didn't have that. It was all just too much mouth. Even in my bios it was just too much mouth. So at the time, to know what my actual name is, you would have had to have watched my Get to Know Me video, I believe, because I said what my real name is in that video. So the fact that she addressed me as my real name kind of drew me in, it suckered me in, and I ended up listening to what she had to say. Basically they promised to boost my channel, that they would always publish my work on their platform that has hundreds of thousands of followers. They're one of the biggest MCNs in the world of MCNs. They promised me this tool that I could go into and it would help me kind of analyze how to market my videos better, if that makes sense, because that is something that you have to think about as a YouTuber. There are hundreds of, how I do my winged liner. There are hundreds of from basic to baddie. So what's making your video any different? Like, you have to be specific with the title that you put in, like it has to be eye-catching, your thumbnails, all of that stuff. And they basically promised this engine tool that you could go into and it would help you do that for you. It would tell you, like what words to use in your titles, what tags to use on your videos. It would tell you all of that stuff and it would help you do that. They promised music. They said that they have this library where you wouldn't have to worry about getting copyrighted, because that is something that every YouTuber has to keep in mind. You can't just go using, Sorry by Beyonce without them getting your video taken down, or at least removing the ability to monetize that video because you're playing that song in it. They also promised what else did they promise? They promised a couple of things in there. And after reading the contract said it was a 1-year deal. Here is where I sold myself short. It was a 1-year deal. And being someone who had watched YouTube before I started my own channel, I kind of had the sense that it's going to take a while for you to start seeing progress on your channel. So at the time, I had about 1,000 subscribers, maybe like 1,100, somewhere around there. So I was like, worst case scenario, it's only a year, you know, what's the worst that could happen? You know, I'm assuming like in a year I'll probably have maybe 5,000 subscribers, getting an average of 500 views per video. So how much can they really take out of any money that I start making, if I start making any money in the next year? That is where I sold myself short, because this agreement said that I would keep 60% of my earnings and they would take 40% of my earnings. Yeah, 40% of my earnings. But keep in mind, I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna offer this, they're gonna offer that, blah, blah, blah. How much can I really grow in a year? So I signed the contract. Y'all, there are a couple things I want you to take from this video. One of them being, if you feel in your heart you should not do something, don't do it, because your instinct is most likely correct. I signed that contract, I want it out the next day. The next day I want it out of that contract. You know when you're offered something and, you know, it's finally available to you, you want to check everything out, kind of like, you know, with my camera, my lights. As soon as I got them, I wanted to learn everything about them. How does it work? What does this do? What does that do? So I signed the contract and they took over my channel. That's something you have to do when you sign with a network. You have to give them the control of your channel. Most of them will tell you, oh, you know, like we have control because we have to work, like we're in charge of paying you. It's now no longer AdSense's responsibility to pay you, it's your network's responsibility to pay you, because they have to take their cut. They will tell you, oh, you know, like, yeah, we're in control, but we're not in control, you know, like you still have full ownership of your videos, blah 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 blah. Well, after they took control of my channel, they gave me access to all of the things they had promised, right? So I go in, I'm looking at this engine that's supposed to help you, you know, figure out the SEO of your videos. To this day, if I went on there, at this point, I know I have over 100 videos on my channel. To this day, if I still had access to that thing would only say I have about like 5 videos. Like I kept pushing like the refresh, like maybe, you know, it just hasn't fully synced in yet, but no, to this day, that thing would still say I only have 5 videos. It wouldn't even load all the videos that I had so that I could go in and, you know, edit the titles or edit tags, see what tags it tells me I should be in. To this day, that thing would still say that I have not earned a dime on my channel. And to this day, it would still give me the same whack thumbnail templates to fill in when I could just use PicMonkey for free to make my thumbnails, which is what I do. So I was like, oh no, what is this? Let's keep in mind that, what do you call that? The music that I was supposed to have access to, I would try to go onto it, but it would be like, oh, you have to, I think, pay to get access onto this. And I was like, hold up, I thought like that comes with the network. And it was like you needed something, either you needed like a payment or you needed something like that to, I don't know, it basically did not work either. So I was reading that contract looking for any little like loophole, like is there any way out of this? There was not. So I was stuck for the next year, and it sucks because I knew I was stuck literally a day into this agreement. So the next day after I signed the contract, I emailed Barbara and I let her know, because here's how some networks get you. Networks will tell you, oh yeah, this is just like a 6-month contract, it's a 1-year contract, and then if you don't like it, you can go. But what they don't tell you when they're trying to get you in is that if you don't acknowledge that you don't want this contract to end, to renew after a year or 6 months, whatever, it will automatically renew you for another year. Some places, they will renew you for another 2 years into their stuff. And that's how some people have gotten stuck being in these networks for 4 years. I could never. So I read through that contract and I was like, oh no, it won't be me. I emailed her the very next day after I signed that contract, and I was like, you know what, I read the contract and I see that it says you need more than 30 days notice that I don't want this contract to renew. So I emailed Barbara and I was like, this is my notice that this contract will not renew after a year. What did I say? I said something like, you know, I've realized that I will be better off on my own after the year. So Barbara emails me back and she was like, oh, is there something wrong? Is blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this engine tool thing barely works. I honestly could have done better on my own without this tool. There's no access to the music, which to this day I never got an answer to. Like, I never got an answer as to how I'm supposed to use it. So she finally emails me back and she's like, oh, okay, well, I've put in that, you know, a year from now, like, this contract will not be renewed. Great. So you realize how they also promised that they would promote my channel and that Barbara would be my manager for my channel? Y'all, I spoke to Barbara all of 3 times throughout this entire thing. I spoke to Barbara 3 times throughout all of this. The first time when she contacted me to get me to join the network. The second time when I was letting her know, like, this contract will not continue after a year. And then the third time was at, like, when it was May of 2000, like, this year. I emailed her again because I didn't want them to try it like, oh, you know, that was a year ago, but like we needed notice even closer to the year that you don't want this to renew. So I emailed her again just so she knew I meant what I said the first time, like, do not renew this contract. So those are the 3 times that I ever heard from Barbara, who was supposed to be my account manager, right? Now, they said they would promote my videos. They tweeted a 10-second clip of one of my Halloween tutorials on Twitter. That's it. That was the promotion that I got from this network. Your girl is trying to reel it on in here. There are some stories I can't tell right away because they still make me just a tad bit upset. So I'm just trying to, you know, keep it together here in this video because I'm still a tad bit. Okay, but anyway, so I said everything that they've done for me in the 1 year that I was signed with them. But let's get back to the money. Like, you remember the money part of this where they said I get to keep 60% and they keep 40% of what I earn? Yeah, let's get back to that. To be more specific, March, when I hit 1,000 subscribers, is when these networks started reaching out to me, but I didn't sign with them until May 3rd. May 3rd is when I signed the contract with them. So I was with them from May 3rd of 2016 to May 3rd of 2017. So I didn't get my first check with them until about a month or 2 later, somewhere around there. And I'm gonna be completely honest. My first check after they took their 40% was $9.26. That was the first check that I ever got having a YouTube channel. So after getting that, I was like, okay, this is kind of what I expected, you know. I didn't expect to grow that much in a year. I didn't expect to make that much in a year. So that's why I wasn't as pressed at first, even though from the very beginning I knew like they were not going to do anything. I was basically wasting my time signing with these people. But after that, I was kind of like, okay, like this is kind of what I expected. I won't lose that much. Well, if you guys remember, late last summer, somewhere around there, I posted a video called "Is This the Perfect Nude for Dark Skin?" Kylie Jenner said so, something like that. I posted that video, and that video kind of took off with views. Within a month or so, that video had about 200,000 views on it, and I got a paycheck from my network, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a lot different from that $9 check, and this is after they took their 40%. This is what I got. Imagine what it could have been if I didn't have you at all, and I was just making the money that I made off my work because you don't do anything for me. So I started thinking, okay, maybe this is actually a bigger issue than I thought it was. And then I went from 1,000 subscribers to 5,000 subscribers to 10,000 subscribers to 20,000. And if you've been here for a while, you saw that my numbers started moving kind of quickly. And now, well, I hit 100,000 subscribers before I ended my contract with this network. So yeah, you can say I kind of sold myself short there by saying it's just a year, what's the most that could happen? So as my numbers started going up, my views started going up and my paycheck started going up. But again, I'm thinking back to myself, this is what my check looks like after a company who was literally doing absolutely nothing for me is taking 40% of my earnings. What is going on? So I was a very unhappy individual. I mean, like, doing this makes me happy. My interaction with you guys makes me happy. But the business side of me was very upset that literally these people were taking money for doing absolutely nothing. No promotion, no help, no nothing. So I start looking more into MCNs and other people's experiences. And some people will give you this excuse of, oh, well, you know, it's just like bigger YouTubers who they help. And keep in mind, like I said, I reached 100,000 subscribers before I ended my contract with them, and they never helped me whatsoever. I watched Ivy's video, and she was with, I think, Style Hall, and she had a nightmare as well with her network. They didn't do anything for her, and they were just taking her money. And she has, I believe, somewhere around 300,000 subscribers. And there's another girl whose video I was watching a little bit more recently. Her name is Brittany Lee Sanders, I think that's her name. It wasn't the network that Ivy was signed with. It wasn't the network that I was signed with. This is a third different network, and once again, they did absolutely nothing for her, and they actually suckered her into that whole auto renew thing. Like, she didn't really read the contract, I guess, where she had to give notice before the contract ended. I think she gave her notice like once the contract had ended, and they were like, oh, nope, sorry, you're supposed to give your notice 30 days prior to this ending. So they suckered her in for another year, I believe. So that's a completely third different network that screwed someone else over. And she had, at the time, I think 700,000 subscribers. So start thinking to yourself, if they only help bigger subscribers, how big do you have to be for these networks to actually help you? Like, I've seen some people who are like, yeah, you know, my network, you know, they got me into an event. Okay, they got you into an event. What else do they actually do for you? Okay, so I started looking into all this, and I was just like, wow, this in my opinion honestly is a scam. Honestly, because there is nothing a network can do for you that you can't do yourself. Getting invited to events, you can get that once you start getting your numbers up there, and you don't even have to really get your numbers up there. I've seen people who have 10-20,000 subscribers getting invited to events. Getting on PR lists, you can do that yourself. Once you start going to events, as far as like beauty goes, I don't know about like the outside world, but you start going to events like BeautyCon, Gen Beauty, Fame, all that other stuff, you can talk to these brands yourself and talk yourself onto their PR list. And a lot of YouTubers, what they do once they get bigger is they get a manager, not network related, nothing like that. They get a manager who will also help them do that type of stuff. So I honestly see no purpose whatsoever for a network. So I think by now I have gotten the point across that this network has done absolutely nothing for me in a year, and in that year they continue to take 40% of all of my earnings. So let's just fast forward to the end of this partnership. So the contract would end May 3rd of 2017. So March 29th, I emailed Barbara letting her know, like, just a friendly reminder, do not renew this contract May 3rd. Like, and I emailed her March 29th because, you know, she was kind of iffy the first time that I emailed her about ending this contract. So I didn't want any type of cute stuff like, oh, I send the email on April 3rd and you don't answer me until April 5th. And you're like, oh, well, it's April 5th. It's less than 30 days, so you're stuck. So I emailed her March 29th, and if she didn't answer me by March 31st or 30th, however many days March has, I would have emailed her again before the 30 days because I was not playing with these people. So it took her, I think, 2 days, and she finally answered me, and she was like, I've put in a notification, okay, your contract will not be renewed. You'll be released May 3rd by 5 p.m., something like that. I was like, great. So I'm just counting down the days, and it is now May 3rd. I'm looking. It's 2 o'clock, I'm still signed with you. It's 3 o'clock, I'm still signed with you. 4 o'clock, okay. So 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. It was either 5 p.m. my thing would end or 6 p.m. my thing would end. So 5 or 6, I look and it says I'm no longer, you know, a partner with this network. Like, they had released my channel. I'm thinking, great, I'm in a great mood, I'm happy now, I don't have to deal with this, never again will I go through the situation. Now, if you're a YouTuber, you have the Creator Studio app, you know, that's where you can kind of keep track of your videos better without having to log into your computer, all that other stuff. So right after I was released from the network. I went into the Creator Studio app and I'm looking at my dashboard, and if you've seen the Creator Studio, next to every video that you have, there's a little money sign green circle that lets you know that your video, like that video, is being monetized. Now beforehand, every single one of my videos had that little green dollar sign next to it. After they released me from my contract, none of my videos had that green dollar sign next to them. None of them. Like, I went through, like I said, I have over 100 videos. Not one video had that dollar sign next to it. So I was like, so I go to my computer so I can log into YouTube from my desktop, see if that's something, like maybe the app is glitching. Nope. On my computer, none of my videos have the green dollar sign next to them. So I go look at like the settings or something like that, and it says my channel is not monetized. So I was like, no, they didn't demonetize my video before they let my channel go. So I had to hit up Barbara's email real quick, and I sent an email saying, hey, I see that we're no longer partners, but I also see that my channel is no longer monetized. And now I'm thinking, well, I'm screwed because I'm not even a part of their network anymore, so they really have no reason to answer my email. So I'm thinking, what am I gonna do? I start looking it up, blah, 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 blah. So I have to go through the process of monetizing my channel all over again with Google AdSense, so that I can start having ads play on my videos again. So that, I believe it's changed with AdSense, like how they do it, how it goes through that process. So I had to go to the AdSense website, try to sign up for it all over again. So once you apply for it, like, you have to wait a certain amount of time. So that time that I had to wait for AdSense to like approve my channel, I wasn't making any money on my channel, like whatsoever. Like no video that you were watching at the time was having ads play through it. This was around the time that I did like my foundation hunt week, like around there, or it might have been before or a little bit after. But anyway, so yeah, I wasn't making anything off those videos. So I was just like, and I'm talking videos that have like millions, a million views, 500,000 views, nothing was monetized whatsoever. So I was like, oh, okay, so that's what we're doing? All right. So it took a couple days for AdSense to get back to me, and they were like, your channel is now monetized, like you can start running ads. So I had to go through and add ads to all of my videos. Mind you, I said like the day it happened is when I emailed Barbara. Now, I had emailed Barbara March 29th. She had answered. I had emailed her the day after I signed the contract. She had answered. But I get an email from Barbara's email. Like, the email was barbara@network.com, right? But the person responding to me said, this is not Barbara. Barbara no longer works for this network. She's gone on to other endeavors in her life, blah, blah, blah. Oh, now all of a sudden Barbara doesn't work there. The whole year that you did absolutely nothing for my channel, Barbara was there when I had to send her an email to let her know, like, this contract ends May 3rd at 5 or 6 p.m. All that time, Barbara still worked there, but now I'm no longer a member of your network. You demonetized my channel before letting me out of this contract. Now, Barbara doesn't work there? Okay. When I say I was tight reading that email, I mean I was tight. A whole year later, now she no longer works there, so she can go pursue other endeavors. But you're emailing me from the email that she was using while she works for you. But anywho, their email also said that yes, once they release you from your contract and they relinquish your channel, they also demonetize your channel as well. And I was just like,
did you find my channel demonetized? No? Okay, well, I'm gonna need you to leave my channel how you found my channel.
If you could have added yourself to my channel when it was already monetized, why can't you release yourself from my channel and leave it monetized? But anywho, at that point, like once I had gotten that email, I had already resolved the issue with AdSense and Google. So I was just like, I'm done with you. Like, I really don't care. All I know is I'm still expect my payments for the last, because they don't pay like month. You know how you work for the month of July and you get paid in July, you work for the month of August, you get paid in August? No, they were, I think, like 2 months, like they pay you 2 months behind time. So I was like, as long as I get the rest of my payments when I'm supposed to, I'll be done with y'all, and I don't ever want to hear anything about you or any other network ever again. So the 15th of July is when I got my last payment from them, which is why I'm doing this video, because they seem like the type who'd be like, oh, you want to do a video about us? Okay, well, your payment got lost in the mail. So that is why I am here doing this. So for anyone who might be watching this video that works for any other network, the same network, if you were thinking of finding your way into my inbox to tell me why I should join your network. And something else that I learned throughout all of this thing is when these people reach out to you and you go look into them, you'll see, oh, this YouTuber with 1 million subscribers is part of that network. This YouTuber, who I love her channel, if she's a part of them, I can trust them, blah, 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 blah. Well, what I learned is these networks will go to these bigger YouTubers and say, hey, can you join our network? We won't take any of your money. You know, it won't be 60-40, 50-50, nothing. You get to keep all of your money, but just let us say that you're a part of our network, because that's how they will sucker in other people who have like 100 subscribers. Yeah, so they're not actually taking money out of those bigger YouTubers. Some of them might be getting, you know, like 20% taken out, 10% taken out, but that's something that they also do. So that's something you have to keep in mind as well, because that person may not have any money coming out of their checks while 50-60% is coming out of yours. And I've actually seen that somewhere where someone agreed to a contract where they were getting 40% and the network was getting 60%. Now that, I don't know how to help you there, sis, because it was like, how did you think that that was okay to do? But anywho, so yeah, that was my experience with a network. I feel like it was a scam. And it's not even just like this one network is a scam, because I've heard people talk about other networks where they had similar experiences. So I think the whole idea of networks is a scam. These people are taking your money to do absolutely nothing that you can't do on your own. Do not sell yourself short like I did. So that is it for this video. As always, I hope hearing some of my experiences has, one, put a smile on your face, given you a laugh, but also has taught you to not, you know, find yourself in the same situations that I have found myself in. I wouldn't wish this on my worst of enemies. I wouldn't want any of you to go through it. Honestly, it is not worth it. There is nothing they can do for you that you cannot do for yourself. I do have a video on, you know, starting a channel if you do want to check that out, and I give you like places that you can go to edit, cheaper alternatives, all that stuff. You can do it on your own. I promise you, you don't need someone else. And if you do need someone else in the future, get a manager, okay? Someone who actually is interested in your well-being, because your well-being makes them well done. You guys know what I mean. So make sure to thumbs up, comment, and subscribe down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.